Hello Achiever, I am in the same house as the previous video to introduce you to an amazing guy. I love his project. He's Matt Emerzian. I would love to let you to introduce yourself. Who are you?
Well, as you said, my name is Matt Emerzian, and I live in Los Angeles, California. And who am I? I mean, I wrote a book called Every Monday Matters, so I guess I'm an author. Which then that started an organization and a company called Every Monday Matters, so that inspires people to understand how much they matter and to make a difference in the world. So I guess I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm a visionary. I like to entrepreneur.
Okay.
Family man.
Wow.
That's who I am.
Different.
I wear many hats. Yeah. Yeah.
And okay. And why did you start Every Monday Matter?
Well, the backstory to it is that I used to work in the music industry.
Okay.
And so I started managing bands in Los Angeles. And then I ended up taking the demo of a band to Robert Kardashian.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that everyone in France has also heard of the Kardashians, Kim, Khloe, Kourtney, all the family.
Yeah.
And Robert, their father, was a successful music man. And so I took the CD to him to see what he thought of the band. And actually, in that first meeting, he ended up offering me a job at his company. So I was hired as a senior vice president of his music marketing company.
Wow.
And so then I was still working with these local bands, in LA, one particular, with some other bands in LA. And then all of a sudden now I'm working for him. And the bands that he worked for were a little bit different than the bands that I worked for, because he did projects for bands like U2 and Coldplay and Avril Lavigne and Tim McGraw and Usher and Black Eyed Peas, you name it. They did marketing promotion campaigns for all the major labels and all the major artists. So now my world shifts a little bit from trying to get good shows at the Viper Room and the Whiskey to now being at huge shows like with U2 on stage, and I'm holding Bono's son, like, wow, 40,000 people are flipping out watching this concert, to this really kind of crazy fast-paced life of the entertainment business, right? So it's working all day, it's going out at night, it's partying, it's maybe doing some substances you shouldn't be doing, it's objectifying women, it's this whole slippery slope of fame and fortune, and my priorities just kind of shifted. And so it was actually a Monday morning when I was getting ready for work that I woke up and I thought that I was having a heart attack.
Wow.
Way earlier in my life, I was actually an ambulance driver. So I figured I could drive myself to the doctor, even though I thought I was having a heart attack, which isn't the best idea in the world to do. And they did tests on me, and in terms I wasn't having a heart attack, but I was having a severe panic attack. And so I had never had panic before in my life, or anxiety or anything like that. And the doctor said, listen, just go home and try to rest and see if it goes away. And for me, it didn't go away. And it actually got worse.
What did you feel?
I felt, my heart was racing, my skin, I just wanted to get out of my skin. It just felt like I wanted to peel my skin off my body.
Wow.
I was sweating, my breathing was different. I just felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like some alien crawled inside my brain and just took controls of all the levers. And all of a sudden, my body was doing all these things and I had no control over what it was doing.
Was you thinking that you will die?
In the moment, I was so scared. I don't know if I thought that I was going to die. I just didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know if I wanted to go out in the street and run. I didn't know if I wanted to try to sleep, if I needed to figure out how to go home to my parents. I didn't know where to go to stop the feeling of fear that I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was lasting.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
So at first I kind of refused taking any medicine because I just didn't want to think that, maybe I have anxiety or depression. Oh, wow, maybe I need to do these sorts of things. So I was fighting it, and I'm not going to give in to this. And as I fought it, it got worse. So it got to the point where I couldn't drive a car anymore. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. When it got dark at night, I couldn't look out my windows because I was getting very claustrophobic. So my panic attack turned into chronic anxiety disorder, where literally my life started shutting down. And
how long it lasts?
this was about 2 months into this now.
Wow.
And at the time, this is over 10 years ago. So about 2 months into it, then my parents actually came down to LA to move in with me, just to try to help me figure out how to rebuild. And during this process, I was introduced to a therapist. And so I went to see her begrudgingly. You know, I worked in the music industry. I had a big ego, very narcissistic. Like, no, I don't need any of this stuff. I'll be fine. And when I went to see her, she gave me a book, and she said, "I want you to read the first sentence of this book." And the first sentence read, "It's not about you." And again, from the mindset that I was coming from, this narcissistical, egotistical kind of place that I lived every day, it's like, how can this not be about me? Because then who could it be about? I'm the one here needing your help. So to say it's not about me is weird. So I actually left. And about a week later, she called me back again and asked me if I'd come in again. And I said I would, because at that point in time, I honestly started having some suicidal thoughts, like driving on the freeway, I could just yank my wheel and this could be over. And not that I never thought I could do that, but I had those thoughts. I went back in to see her again, and she slid the book across the table again, and she said, "I want you to read the first sentence." And I'm like, "I got it. It's a short one. It's not about me." And she said, "Until you understand that it's not about you, you're never going to feel better." And that was just that moment. It was like someone threw me that life ring. I was drowning, and someone threw me that ring, and I said, "Fine. What do I have to do? I'm in. I got to change this."
Wow. Huge wake-up call.
Big wake-up call. Yeah, big wake-up call.
Wow.
But when you go to bed on a Sunday night and you feel like you're on top of the world, right? I mean, everything was great. I had a home, I had a great job, I had a great life. Everything seemed perfect. Like if you checked it off on paper, okay, Matt's doing fine, But and you go to bed Sunday night, and then you wake up Monday morning, and all of a sudden the whole world turns upside down, and all I did was sleep in between. It's hard to understand, like, what happened, like, what went wrong? How do I fix it if I don't even know what went wrong? Like all these sorts of things.
And after, what do you know? What was wrong at this time?
Well, I learned it slowly. So the biggest, besides all our conversations that I had with my therapist, and she's still a near and dear friend to me 10 years later, I call her my expensive friend. The biggest thing that she probably did for me was every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had to get up by myself and go do something to serve something. So I had to either go feed homeless people, or I had to go pick up litter, or paint over graffiti, or read to elderly. So every Saturday she gave me an action I had to go do. And it was about 2 to 3 months into that process when the light bulb went off for me. And because I was out and I was picking up litter, and my friends called me. It was a Saturday morning, and in America, Saturday morning is college football day. So everyone's watching college football games.
Yes.
And my buddies called and said, "Hey, Matt, why don't you come over and we'll eat some food, we'll smoke some weed, we'll drink some booze, watch football all day, play video games." And it was in that moment when I said, "You know what, guys, I'm out picking up litter right now in LA, and I'm so happy, like I'm just going to keep picking up litter. Like I don't want to come do what you're doing." And it was in that moment that I realized that, like, what she meant by it, to live a life that's not about you, that to actually live a life that served something more than your own self-pleasures. And so that was kind of when it made sense. That I had created a life that was so much about pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. More money, more substances, more women, pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. And in doing that, I lost my soul. I lost who I was.
Wow, I love your story.
Thank you.
A great story. And so now, what are you doing?
Yeah, so what ended up happening is this process of every Saturday ended up inspiring me to realize that I'm probably not the only person in the world that's trying to find their success or their significance and their purpose in all the wrong places. And I know what this recipe of service did for my life and for my heart and for my soul. So it inspired this idea to write a book that would give people the same recipe that they could follow if they wanted to, and with the hopes that it would bring that to their lives as well. And in doing so, make the world a better place. And so I ended up writing a book called Every Monday Matters with a good friend of mine, Kelly Boza. And I didn't do Every Saturday Matters. I did Every Monday Matters. I was doing the, in therapy, I was doing the Every Saturday plan, but I broke down on a Monday morning. And also, people usually don't like Mondays. Yes. You know, it's the day you start working or school, or and people can hate Mondays so much it actually ruins their Sundays, because you're looking forward to them, or you're looking to the Monday to come. So we called it Every Monday Matters, as a way to start your week on don't dread it, but be excited about it. Like it's a day that it's a new week, it's a new day, it's a new time to get involved and change the world. And so that was it. It was a very simple book. It was 52 Mondays with ideas of what you can do
1 year.
In 1 year. And there were things for the environment, like plant a tree, pick up litter, change your light bulbs. There's things for yourself, like eat healthy, get your exercise, meditate, pray. Other people, you know, write a letter of appreciation to somebody. It's kind of like the dummy's guide to just being a better person, I guess.
So you started with the book, not the website at the beginning.
Yeah, the book first.
And why did you decide to create the website?
Well, about a month after the book came out, this was 6 years ago now, I received an email from a single mother. She was 24 years old, and she lives in Palm Springs, California. Okay. And she was driving down the road, and she saw a car pulled over on the side of the road with a woman and a man in the front seat. And she figured they were having car trouble because it was a really hot day. And so she decided to pull over to see if she could help them with their car trouble. When she got to the car, she learned that the husband had had severe Alzheimer's, and at this point in time was pretty much not functional, just kind of there. And the woman had just hit the end of her rope, and she was actually there to commit suicide. And she was going to try to jump in front of an oncoming car. Wow. And so Darby, this woman who stopped to help them, sends me this email that basically explains this whole scenario. In the middle of it, it had the copy from a thank you letter that the woman wrote to Darby to thank her for saving their lives. And then under that it said, if it wasn't for your book, I would have never pulled my car over. And so for me, that was that moment I needed. And I said...
A new wake-up call.
That was another wake-up call. Let's just keep tacking them on. And I said, this is it. And so I actually quit. I left the business. I said... I want to live a life that matters, you know, and I really know that people out there want to do the same thing. And so I walked away from the music business and to start this thing and try to take a book and make it into more of a movement.
Wow, I love that. How did you create a movement?
That's a great question. I think if there was a recipe for creating a movement, everyone would
I will buy it.
Everyone would buy it, right?
It's like the next project.
It's like how do you shoot the perfect viral video? Like, you know,
yeah,
every video would be viral. It started with the website. So now, and I will say we a lot as I explain this, but the we was me. Okay, it started as a website, and now I'm working from home, and just a very simple website. I ended up shooting a video. And I went around and just asked people in LA, strangers, if they would be in my video, which is kind of a strange conversation in LA a little bit. It's like, will you be in my video? And we shot a video, we launched the video, and at this time, San Diego, California had some major fires. They had like 46 fires or 26 fires all at the same time. Like San Diego was just in flames. And so I had this idea that what if I got people who bought the book, who were sending me emails saying, we love this, and we sold like 140,000 copies. So there was an audience kind of building, you know, for this. What if I got them to write letters to thank the firefighters for fighting the fires? So all of a sudden I started getting all these letters. And then I said, who wants to help deliver these letters? And so we went to San Diego and we delivered all these letters to the fire stations in San Diego. and there's 26 stations down there, I think, and it became this really beautiful exchange of like, wow, just in an instant, putting an idea out there to the world. People jumped on it. We went and did it, and it was done. We impacted lives.
I love that.
And so that was the first thing we ever did, was the letter writing campaign. And then I got, started to ask to do some speaking stuff, just kind of smaller speaking stuff. I got asked to write a newspaper column that was in one paper, and then it was the newspaper in my hometown of Modesto, California. And then McClatchy Group picked that up and syndicated it out to their other 300 papers. So that kind of started to build this kind of thing. And then we were introduced to Oprah's team.
Wow.
And
good moment for you.
Yeah, good moment for us. And so we ended up we were on Oprah.com and in her Spirit newsletter every Monday for a year, talking about what the Monday activity was.
Wow.
The biggest turning point where it kind of went from me to starting to build a team was we had a lot of teachers who emailed us asking if we had lesson plans for the youth to teach the kids these lessons of like self and social responsibility. And
if you need help to do that, I would love to help you to impact youth. I don't know how, but I would love.
Absolutely, yeah. You can take us global, And so we ended up writing a school curriculum that teaches our youth that they matter. And it's kindergarten through 12th grade. And in 4 years, we ended up in almost 3,000 schools across the country.
Wow.
And which was crazy because I never wrote school curriculum. None of our team had ever done it, but we worked with some amazing educators. And all of a sudden, it just kind of took off in the schools. And then the next thing that happened was companies in America started reaching out to us and wanting to know if we had any sort of team building exercise or experience that we could do with them. A lot of team building events have to do with scavenger hunts or ropes courses or, cooking competitions, like whatever these things are. And companies were looking for maybe something that had a little more substance to it. And so they called me, do you have a team building event? Well, of course I don't. Just like we didn't have school curriculum, but we can make one, right? It's kind of like you're fearless. And so we made an event that was really powerful and experience for employees to engage in and go out in the community and make a difference and understand what it's like to serve and how much they matter and all this kind of stuff. And that turned into more keynoting for me. It also turned into then these companies saying, hey, when you guys are here, there's a spike of inspiration, but then when you leave, it kind of starts to go back down to how it used to be.
Yeah.
And so now we created a curriculum, if you will, for companies where just like the students are doing in school every Monday, employees are doing it every Monday in the workplace as well.
What they do in the company?
It's kind of the same program now as Every Monday Matters. So, again, the book is 6 years old, so I kind of call it like our fancy brochure at this point because it's outdated. It's hard to find. So now Every Monday Matters is now delivered more digitally through the web, through social media, through these sorts of things. And basically what we do is we look at the year, 12 months, and we talk about what are things in the world that we think are lacking, or what are things that we could help bring more of.
How many people are following your project, your vision?
That's such a great question. I don't know. I think that we probably have touched millions of people. It's hard to know that number in terms of how many are actively through our email list, through our social media, through these sorts of things. I think we have probably closer contact with more like 100,000 people. Okay. It's just hard. It's hard to know. I think that we're constantly hearing stories, but it's hard to really track.
So you are spreading inspiration, and the nature, the life use that.
Yeah. So to give an example, I think people can be more happy in the world, and so this last month, March, is Monday Gets Happy. And so we looked at March, and every Monday of March was something you could do to generate more happiness, either in your life or in the world. So it's things like surprise someone, and that's your activity for the week. Figure out how you can surprise one person and do it. and then share it, talk about it, inspire other people to do
It's
it.
so it's very inspiring for me. I love your project. It's an amazing
Thanks.
idea. Wow. So I find one common point, one point of your how to create a movement.
Yeah.
So I feel that you care a lot about people now.
I do, and I think that's a great observation, because one of the things with Every Monday Matters, where again is another one of those learning moments for me. I think in the beginning, like my ego in a way was still so involved in it,
Yes.
because I wanted to say, because of our book, I'm going to prove that there's less litter on the streets. Like somehow I could calculate that number. Like right now there's X number of pieces of litter, and in 3 years, because of our book, there's going to be Y, and it's going to be a lot less than X, right? What I learned along the journey is that that's completely the wrong approach.
Okay. Because it was about you.
That's right. That's right. Instead, what I learned is the power of the two words, "you matter." And I've met so many people along this journey, whether they're students in schools or CEOs of companies or convicted felons in programs where I've spoken, that so many people in the world don't understand how much they matter. And that is devastating to me. And so that's where my love for this comes in, because I see what happens when I look at someone and say, hey man, you matter. And you have special gifts. And whether it's your ability to make people smile, or whether it's your ability to design the next rocket that's going to go to Mars, or whatever it is about you, you matter. And own that and take that to the world in whatever form that looks like for you. That to me is what changes the world.
So you think that everyone in this planet have something to give, has a gift to give to the world or to other people, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And I think that people are at their best when they're giving and when they're serving.
So yes, this is my next question. How can I find what is my gift?
Well, I mean, that's. I think it's going to take asking a couple questions. I think.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's imagine that I am someone, I don't know what is my gift, and I'm a little bit lost.
Yeah.
What can I do?
And it's funny because it just reminds me of a conversation I was having over email recently with somebody else that I think you should definitely interview.
Okay.
And her
Who
name
is
is Gabby Yuri.
Okay.
And she's a 15-year-old girl
Wow.
who's about to break the world record for planking, and which is alone is amazing. But the fact that she's even still alive because of a lot of physical issues that she's had with her health her whole life makes it a whole nother miracle. And I asked Gabby a series of questions about herself, and it's, what are you passionate about and why? How do you like to spend your time? What keeps you up at night? What brings you joy and makes your heart sing? Where do you see your life in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Who inspires you? Who are your role models? I think a lot of these kind of really gut
Powerful
questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to ask. I think people are really good at asking the question, like, when you get up in the morning and you look in front of the mirror, it's really easy to go kind of in a confused, negative place. Like, what is this life even about? Like, why am I even here? Like, it's just like Groundhog Day. Another day, I get up, I brush my teeth, I go to work, I come home, I eat dinner, I go to bed, I watch bad TV, then I go, it's like we're not asking the right questions of ourselves. And I think when we start to do that more, we're going to understand more about what is that thing that I could take to the world, and don't be afraid to go do it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do you have daily questions, some questions that you ask a lot of times in your life? You wonder a lot of time in your life?
Daily questions that I ask myself?
Yes. To choose, to act, to wake up, I don't know.
I mean, I always wake up and I'm excited to get up in the morning. I'm one of those people that when I wake up, even if it's at 5 a.m, my brain is on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have sometimes a bad wake up?
I don't have a lot of nightmares sort of things, if that's what you're asking.
No, do you have sometimes the feeling, oh, it's too early?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
yes, how do you shift? How do you shift that?
How do I, it's interesting, and I hate to admit this, but like I'm not a huge reader. So I don't spend a lot of time in books. I might go online and maybe watch some inspirational videos.
Like TED, for example?
Excuse me?
TED?
Yeah, TED. I mean, TED's amazing. Anything in TED you could watch. And also, there's a spiritual part of it for me. Like, I try to get a little bit quiet, and I always can be better at this, but in prayer and meditation. And
it is your daily ritual? What is your daily morning?
My daily morning, it's not that deep. The beginning of it, I get up and I put some clothes on. I don't shower. I go straight to Starbucks and I get myself a large green tea and I get my wife a chai tea. I come home and then I usually get online. I get a sense of what the day might look like, any emergency or any fires I wasn't planning on, an email or any text or anything like that. And then I kind of really sit for a second. I think about, okay, what are my priorities to get? A little bit becomes, in business mode. What do I need to get done? Where can I fit certain things in that I wasn't planning on? And usually it's around 3 or 4 o'clock for me, where my body starts to say, okay, let's step out of that work mode and spend a bit of quiet time. For whatever reason, 4 p.m. is like that time where I really feel my body go, and it might be a 15-minute nap. It might be just 20 minutes of just sitting in quiet or laying on the bed. And then I'll finish that, go back to work, and then I exercise 6 days a week in the evenings. So 6 o'clock I go exercise, I come home, I have dinner, and then I really go kind of more into relax mode.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I would like to know, because you told things about ego, and how can I know if I am doing things for my ego?
Yeah, that's an interesting. The ego thing is an interesting thing for me, and
for example, not at the beginning of your story, but you said that at the beginning of your project, you are doing things for others, focus on your ego. How can I know, for example, for myself, that if the interviews are for myself, for my ego, or to help the world to grow?
Well, I think it's okay, like with what you're endeavoring to do, right? I think it's okay if you come in here with an ego and you're confident and you believe in it and all those sorts of things. And it's okay that you're somehow personally benefiting, like this is fulfilling something for you, right? Whether it's because you want to learn English or whatever these things are that you want to get from this as well. I think where it shifts, though, is that the nature of what you're doing is that you want to capture people on video and share that with the world to make the world a better place.
Yes.
And so I think where ego is dangerous is when it's only self-fulfilling.
Okay.
It's only about me. And it's all about, I'm in it for me.
Okay.
Where I struggle with ego today is this idea, and it's a saying that I've always wrestled with, was this idea of let go and let God.
Wow.
And that to me has always been an interesting thing, because I have to show up every day in every Monday Matters. Like, I am the face of it. I created this. It was my idea. I have to be there to show up and to drive it in a way. As an entrepreneur, if you have a business, you're the main energy source of it in a certain way. At the same time, though, I'm not it. Like, it's got to be bigger than me. And I have to trust that it's bigger than me. And so where is that fine line between, okay, I got to push this, I got to drive the team, I got to make it happen. And
okay,
no,
I have a huge question for
you
me.
need to let go. Go for it.
I think it will help a lot of people. If you take action, you can provoke opportunities and a lot of things.
Yeah.
And in other things, if you are meditating, focusing on what you want and what is the why of what you are doing, it will happen also. For example, I at my first trip, I was a little bit crazy. I was working every day, every night, and at the end of my trip, I was doing 52 interviews, and I was feeling, oh, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And because I was taking action, a lot of action, how do I know when I have to, okay, letting go now?
Well, what part of it was working?
Yes.
Was it working that you were getting a lot of interviews?
Yes.
How was it working for you? How were you feeling?
Both feeling.
So for me, it was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago now, well, a year and 4 months ago. I was getting on an airplane to fly to, I actually had a speaking event in San Francisco in the morning. I flew from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Then I had a 6-hour layover, which is in my hometown. So I went home, went back to the airport, and then I had to fly to Mississippi for another speaking event the next morning.
Wow.
And I got on the plane, drove to LAX. I got on the plane. I sat in my seat. I checked my bags, and I'm sitting on my seat, and all of a sudden I started getting the exact same feeling of panic that I did on that very first Monday,
Wow.
10 years ago.
The plane.
On the plane. And I actually got out of my seat and I walked off the plane. And they said, you're not allowed off the plane. Your bags are checked. You have to stay. I say, well, you are not going to keep me on this plane. I'm off. And so I walked off the plane. Strangely enough, the plane never made it to Mississippi because it got stopped in Atlanta because of weather. So I wouldn't have made it anyways. But in that moment, I realized that if you're not careful, like whether it's the music industry or whether it's trying to make the world a better place, in both instances, you can steer yourself the wrong way, right? I think at that moment, I was going too hard. I was that person, probably angry at this person, angry at that person. Why isn't this? Why isn't that? I need to be here, here, here. I want to be on the big TED stage. I don't want just TEDx. All these kind of thoughts you can start having through your head.
Yes.
And they can be incredibly unhealthy, just like it was when I was back in the music industry. And my hunch is that on this trip, you're probably having more fun. Yes. I'm guessing your interviews might be just as good, if not better. And the meaning of this trip is far greater and more important for you.
Okay. So what I have to learn is to focus more about what I'm feeling now, and is it good for me? Not for my project. Is it good for me now?
Well, so in every Monday Matters terms, this is how we say it, and this is how the team says it to me. They said, Matt, you can't go out into the world and teach people that they matter if you don't teach yourself as though you matter. So that's what I...
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Right. But unless I'm able to understand that I matter and take care of myself, I can't go take that message out to the world because I'll be burned out. I'll be sick,
Okay.
And so that's what's allowed me to... And also with the help of amazing friends. I mean, I know I've said Sophie probably 4 times in this, but Sophie, the way she calms me, she gets me to understand to slow down. When I go to Shape House and to sweat for an hour, like those are things I never did before.
I will do that.
You have to do it. Yeah, you got to do it.
I will do that.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
I would like to share you, if you are okay, and other things. Maybe the people who are following me, something could think about. I'm inspired by Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mandela, and they achieved and they did so great things for the world. But when you are reading their biography, they focus only on these things. They did only that. Mm. And sometimes I'm struggling because I know that I will have an impact in this world.
Yeah.
And it is the same kind of question. How can I know that it is a time to meet my family, my friends? I know that you can't achieve the great things without losing some things. Sure. And am I ready to lose that? Friends, family, I don't know what. To build that for the world.
The thing that I felt inside when you were saying that to me was like, if I had to lose my family and my friends to go do something, I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I'd want to do it. Okay. At the same time, I don't only want to just have family and friends in my life, right?
Yes.
I also want to accomplish other things that are my passions and my dreams. So I have to think that somewhere in there, there's a balance. And at the end of the day, I think that's probably the struggle. I think that whether you want to or not, and this is not to say anything negative towards people who work for somebody, or work for a larger company, to get up every day, and there's security. You have your job. It's from 9 to 6. You go, you do your work when you're at work. You come home. You're not working anymore. You're not at the office anymore, right? And then you're in family time, or you're in other time. Like there's clearer separations that are part of the structure of that.
Yes.
When you're someone like yourself, and you probably work from home, and you might be working at 1 in the morning, or at 4 in the morning, or at noon. You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think maybe creating some boundaries can help with to establish that balance. And I don't know, maybe some of these great leaders, they didn't have boundaries. I would guess that they did, because all the people that you mentioned to me seem to be so spiritually grounded.
Yes.
And I think that you have to. It's really hard to be spiritually grounded if you're just going, 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah, good answer.
Right? I don't know.
I love your answer.
I'm not a pro at it myself, so I could probably learn from your fans as much as they can learn from me.
Yeah, we can learn from everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What is your next step for your project?
So the next step for the project is we have built a really great community in Every Monday Matters that's built up mostly of schools and companies, employees at companies, right? So there's kind of like these pockets of people. Now the next endeavor is to take it beyond that. So if you don't go to a school that we're in, or if you don't work for a company that we're working with, you can still engage in Every Monday Matters.
Okay.
And you can still be a part of this. I mean, ultimately, we want Every Monday Matters to be something that's more like for the people, by the people. Does that make sense? Like, it's a platform for you to start making your Mondays matter. And so jump in, get involved with it, and then make it your own. And then to us, what's important is share it back. Like, share your stories. And people are so weird, because if they go out and do something amazing in the world, they don't want to talk about it. It's almost like you're bragging, right? And so the happy stories, the good stories, don't get shared. It's just the negative, dark, crappy stories that we get to see, and that's why the majority of the internet and also television, it's just crap content. Is that so much of the good content we keep inside? That's it. So go do it, share your stories, inspire other people, So through our website, through our Facebook, Every Monday Matters, through our Twitter, at Mondays Matter. I mean, there's a lot of ways just to plug in, And
they will see.
Yeah.
Do you know when you meet entrepreneurs, especially in the IT world, not IT, startup world and everything, there is a growth hacker. Do you notice this term, growth hacker?
A growth hacker?
Yes.
Okay.
What could be in your business? What was your growth hacking? The moment when you change a little things that make a huge impact on your growth.
The hockey stick, right?
Yes.
Cause it take off.
The wake-up call of your company.
Well, I think that's a funny call. That's a funny question, because have you ever heard of the saying, tail wagging the dog?
Yes, I think so. I'm not sure.
To where usually there's a dog and its tail wags, but the dog is in charge and the tail just kind of follows.
Yes.
In some cases, the tail is
I
the dog,
right?
I would say that has been more of the experience at Every Monday Matters, because again, it was just going to be a book. And maybe my thought was, maybe it can be like a chicken soup for the soul. We're going to have Every Monday Matters for moms, Every Monday Matters for kids, these sorts of things. But as we started developing these other programs, like the school curriculum, the corporate program, it started to shift our company in a whole different direction. And so a lot of it has just been very organic, and I can't even take a ton of credit for, like, that's exactly what we wanted to happen, how it happened. So I think it was being open to hear what people were wanting from it. I think it was for sure being fearless and just trusting. I mean, so many times, how am I going to make payroll? You know, payday's tomorrow. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? And every time we did it. And every time it just came through. So there's that. I think that the change we're doing right now, my gut tells me it is going to be that hockey stick that you're talking about.
Okay.
By taking it from just something that can only be consumed within these smaller organizations and taking something that the whole world can consume, I think that's where the whole thing's going to really, really take off and change.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would like to know also, what do you feel if someone copy your ID?
Well, it's funny because we've trademarked the saying "You matter." Okay. Right now, if you fly to Houston, Texas, and you land at the airport, you're going to see huge banners everywhere that says "You matter," but it's not about us. It's about them telling their travelers that they matter. So we're like, okay, what do we do about that? You know, that's a trademark infringement. But at the same time, they're putting this message out there to the world. So that's kind of good too, right? So we struggle with those things. I think at the end of the day, I try to stay in the place that, hey, we're all playing for the same team.
Yes.
Right?
Is it hard for you to manage that?
It is a little. I mean, like you told me your idea that every day you want to put out a piece of inspiration to the world.
Yes.
You know, I love it. It's great. And I don't feel any sort of, oh, well, wait a second, you know, I do that on Mondays. You know what I'm saying? It's ultimately the idea is that we want people to live every day inspired. You know, we chose Monday as a day to start the week and as a day to have a routine.
Yes.
A day to change, a day that everyone hates, if you will. But ultimately, we don't want people only being awesome on Mondays. We want them to be awesome all the time. You know?
Yes.
So, no, I have to think that there's plenty of room for all of us to exist and complement each other.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you the question in the opposite side. How can I know if it's okay to use an ID because it's great for the world and use it also?
Well, I mean, if you look at, take for example, nonprofit organizations that build water wells in developing countries, right?
Yes.
There are so many nonprofits that are specialized in bringing clean water to people who don't have it. Okay? And they all look similar in ways. Their pictures are the same. You know, it's a child with their hands under the water faucet splashing, right? But the truth is there's a billion people in the world that don't have clean water, or whatever the number is.
Yes, but it's non-profit.
We're not even scratching the surface. I mean, all these companies they look very similar. And one could say, oh, well, they're all doing the same thing. They're all copying each other. But are they? I don't know. Is it bad? I mean, at Every Monday Matters, what we're just trying to be a catalyst, right? You can follow our program, and every Monday you can do what we say, what we want you to do. But ultimately, you're that person that is on the other side of that. They're the author of their own story. And so for us, it's a little different because if I can get you to understand how much you matter, and maybe you did that by joining in on Every Monday Matters and following what we do. Maybe one of our Mondays is Adopt a Pet Monday. And so you go out and you adopt an animal from a shelter, so it's not euthanized. And in that moment, you learn that serving animals is my passion. Like, I loved that so much. Like, that's all I wanted.
I feel something.
Yeah. And you take that on and you go with it. You know what I'm saying? And so in some ways, every Monday, we're just trying to inspire that, to be that thing of, hey, you matter. Figure it out. Go do it. Make it happen. I hope that everyone copies it. If everyone spent their time every day trying to inspire other people to be their best, that's a pretty cool world.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom in what you're saying. How do you make money in your company? Speeches?
Yeah, speeches, our education program, our corporate programs. But here's the funny part, is that last year, we turned the company from a for-profit to a non-profit.
Wow.
Okay. So, and here's the reason why. when I got the idea to write the book, my thought was, what if it was one day I was picking up litter, and I had this thought, what if I could get 300 million people in America and the rest of the world population, whatever, to pick up one piece of litter on the same day? Just one. It would take each of us a second. It's like a collective second. And how many millions of pieces of trash would be off the streets? Like that, right? What if I get all those same people to plant a tree on the same day? Or these sorts of things. What happened is when we started making money from schools buying our curriculum and from companies paying us to come in and do what we do there, all of a sudden the mind shift changed to, wow, okay, we just did $1 million in sales in our third year. How do we get to 3 million? How do we get to 5 million? Okay, well, let's look at our sales funnels. How many companies are we talking to? You know, who's selling who? What territory is here? And so when you walked into our office, we might as well have been selling, you know, these rocks. You know, here's your pet rock. How many pet rocks can we sell? It became all about sell, right? And why aren't you on the phones? Why aren't you on email? Why aren't you in this marketing campaign? You know, why aren't we going to this education convention? Like all that kind of stuff. And I realized that I created a company I didn't want to create. And I didn't want to go to work anymore. Wow. And so I said, forget it. Let's flip it on its head.
It's not about you.
Let's flip it on its head. Let's give it away.
Wow.
Let's make the mission what leads it, not the dollars that leads it. And every day we come to work, let's be true to the mission. And then see what happens.
A lot of wisdom. I love what you're saying. I think it would have a huge impact on myself. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That's $5.
Sorry, I have to find. My last question is for you. What could be your message to youth to succeed and just to believe that they matter?
So recently I did a TED Talk. As actually a TEDx youth talk.
Wow.
And I didn't know what the message was going to be to these youth. And the audience, there were 400 high school students. And then online, there were like 30,000, whatever they said that were watching. I'm like, what is the message I want to bring? Because I want to bring something different. And so I ended up doing this really kind of quick and rough research project sort of thing, where I sent out these 2 questions to a group of high school leaders in here in the States, in California actually. And I gave them 15 things. The first question, I gave them 15 things that they had to rank, which what they thought were the most important things at their school.
Okay.
So, and not what they personally thought, but what they thought other students would say. So it was things like being the most popular, getting the best grades, having a boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, these sorts of questions. What are the 15, how do you think all the kids at your school would rank these? And what the results came back were amazing, because it was, number 1 was being the best looking. Number 2 was being the most popular. Number 3 was having the largest social media following. Number 4 was, I think, being an athlete or a cheerleader. And number 5 was like having nice things. I can't remember exactly what, but those were the top 5 that were ranked. The second question I asked them was, if you had one message, if you were nominated, and in this way I'll say the world, if you were nominated to be the spokesperson for all teenagers, high school students around the world, and you got to do a presidential address on CNN,
wow,
what would be the message that you would want the world to know about teenagers today? And the answers that they wrote were like, we may be different, but that doesn't mean we're weird. Believe in us, we can change the world.
Wow.
We want the world to be a better place. All these sorts of things, right? And so, but here's the catch. Of the 15 things I asked them to rank, the thing that was ranked number 15 the most was to make a difference in my school or my community. And so how can our CNN address be, hey world, this is who we are. We're change makers. We're leaders. Believe in us. Support us. But the thing that matters most to us, really, 1 to 15, is making a difference. Like, where does that work? Okay? The weird part is I totally understand the answer, because for the majority of my life, up until I was 31, I was just like every one of those high school kids.
Me too.
I wanted to be the most popular. I wanted to have the nicest things. I wanted to make money. I wanted to have girlfriends. I wanted to be an athlete. And if you look at my path, I've checked every one of them off, except for 15. And now I'm only doing 15, right? And so it's okay to be popular. It's okay to be good looking. And this is what I would tell the kids. It's okay to be all those things and to go to college and get good grades and all that kind of stuff. But I firmly believe that that's not why you matter. I believe you matter because you can make the world a better place.
Yes.
So that would be my message.
I love this message.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
so
awesome.
much.